So I just want to talk about this system I use here for taking the the splash pan down on a Wrangler. I use these all-thread bolts, so they're like 12 inches long, and I run a bar across. And I very carefully put a board underneath the motor and transmission front together. So I run those two boards, and then I got another one going on to the more beefy part of the motor there. So I got to try to get as much support as possible, and then this is going to support the rear weight, most of it or a lot of it coming from the engine, because so I don't know if I can get a light up in there, but there's the motor mount up there. Is the mount. You can see that mount up there, and then going back here is my bracket, my brace. So it's about 24 inches. I'm saying about 2 feet from the brace point to the motor mount, which is in the front. So if I was to drop this splash pan here down, then the whole back of the transmission section there would be not supported. So I'm going to I will support it in the back once I take it down and it's wide open, just to give it extra support. But for now, to take this down freely, I'm just going to, with the support that I have made, I'll just loosen up the bolts and drop it down, and it'll have plenty of support there temporarily. And then, just as an added precaution, I'll put a little block under the back of the transfer case. And so that's how we're going to do it. Biggest problem on these Wranglers when you take this down is that these bolts come out easily, but then when you try to hook it up, when you try to put it back, it's a real pain to line it up because there's small holes in there and you have to kind of line them up. They're not like largely slotted, so we're going to redesign that. Now this is the problem here. You got this big heavy splash pan, and you got these little holes to line up the trans mount. We're going to fix that. One little note, there's a piece of metal, little metal bar there protecting the brake line on this side. See how close it is to the body mount? And there's a little piece of metal there preventing it from crushing the brake line. A little bit about what we did here with the skid plate. We put the bigger holes in. I think I have a shot at a picture of it. And so now the trans mount just falls in, and it gives you a little space for adjustment, and then you can lock it in there. You can see in there where I welded the bolts onto the bracket, the mounting bracket. So now your bolts are fixed, so underneath you can just turn them in, and you don't need to hold them. And then over here you have the adjustment slide, so that makes it, even for more adjustment, you can leave that loose, and it just makes it real easy to put the skid plate in. So one final shot on this skid plate on the support that I use in the front is that there's no way to get a jack under the body of the tail shaft. You have to actually jack up the shaft, which is a real bad idea. Putting a jack under the shaft with all that weight on it to support it while you're pulling down the skid plate is a bad idea. So my brace works way better, and you could see I tried to actually put a jack under there and it just won't hold unless you make something, actually make something to fit on there. I could see a lot of guys supporting that with the tail shift, and having all the weight on the motor mounts is a really bad idea because they're too close to the front. So the support bracket that I showed you is the way to go.